All right, I've got it recording right now. How's everybody doing? Y'all doing good? Joshua Smith, are
Yes,
you
sir.
are you at work?
Yeah.
Y'all ain't coming down this weekend, are you?
For
Baby shower.
Erica, maybe. I won't be able to just because we wouldn't be able to get back before church probably. But Erica may come on down herself. I don't know.
I'll go to work. I
do. Oh, I got a hard job. I have to sit in a chair, look at a computer all day. Stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
So everybody.
What up, Joey Ogletree? Jonathan Key, what's up, man?
Hey, dude, how's it going?
Good, buddy. You all right?
I'm good. How about you?
Good. Jonathan Key is the student pastor at the River Church in Sims, Alabama. So it's good to have him. He's the joker with the backwards hat on right now. I went to Lee with Jonathan. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think we're just going to go ahead and start. And if anybody else wants to jump on, they can jump on. I know Ori's going to slap himself on here in a minute. Unless maybe that's him right there. Corey Tennyson, are you there? You good? All right, this is the way we do things. Nobody's really the leader. We just talk. We just hang out. No cuss words. Obviously. Let's talk positive. Let's just have a good time. But this week's topic, or this month's topic, as you know, I've moved it. Hold on, let me shut my door. Hold on. We have moved it from bi-weekly to monthly. So we do it once a month because I think bi-weekly was cool, but it was a little much. So we're going to just do it monthly. I record each one of these for the ones that have never done it before. I record them and put them on my YouTube channel so you can go back and look at different stuff that we've done. This week's topic is leadership structure, what it looks like, how to build a team, etc. And then we're also going to talk about event planning, different event ideas, and what it looks for you, what works for you, and what does not work for you. To also, before we begin, what we do is anytime we're not talking, if you look on your screen or your phone or whatever, you've got the mute button for audio and mute button for video. We just mute the audio when we're not speaking. And so that's what we do when we're not speaking. So I will shut up here. Whoever wants to go first, you just kind of chime in. We do different questions. You can ask different questions as well. Just kind of flow with stuff. And if it's a little awkward and 2, 4, 5 seconds goes by and people aren't really talking, then I'll come back and just chime in and I'll randomly pick Joey Ogletree or somebody to start us off. Sound good? Oh yeah, don't shake your head, little boy. You engaged now. You got to step up to the plate. All right, leadership structure. What does it look like? How to build a team? Event planning, event ideas. What works for you and what does not work for you? Let's start with leadership structure. Leadership structure. What does your youth leadership structure look like? Anybody? Let's see. Joe Ogletree, go ahead, buddy.
How's everybody doing today? Good. So, sanctuary praise, our leadership structure, since of course with me in the youth pastor position, but we have I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I have 6 leaders that help me on Wednesday nights. 2 of them are about to be transition into working with a college, so I'm losing a couple in that regard, but which I'm kind of disappointed about. But we do a monthly leadership meeting where we come together. These are all adult leaders. I'm working right now to try to transition, and this is where I'm going to hopefully get some good advice from you guys today I'm looking to try to start a student leadership team, but right now we just have adult leaders um, that help us. But we are right now. This is a great call for me because this is one of those areas where I'm trying to get a little better situation. We have we have a lot of just people who help, but not a lot of good extensive training. So I'd like to hear from some of you guys on how you train your youth leaders to create a dynamic team because ours, we just have a lot of area and a lot of need where we could have some development to be able to step up and handle. They're good with being able to when I ask them to do something, doing what I ask them to do. But there's a little that in my absence that they're kind of a little lost. So I would appreciate some feedback from you guys on how you train and develop your youth leaders. Don't all talk at once.
That's right. We're all bashful. So I want to hear about Justin Driver. Tell me a little bit about your leadership structure, my friend.
All right. I use a fivefold ministry model for my core leadership structure. Right up under me, I have a prophet, evangelist, pastor, teacher. Just our fivefold ministry. I meet with those guys probably once a quarter. We plan out everything with our fivefold ministry. Everything that I do in student ministry, I'm gonna run it through those guys, run it by those guys first before I even present it to my other, the rest of my adult leaders. I probably have about 16 adult leaders with me right now. We do a team structure model. I have right now I have 4 existing teams. I'm working towards 7. Each team will have an adult leader. Obviously, you don't want students leading students. It sort of that creates conflict. I don't know if y'all have experienced that too, but I know I have. When you have a student leading other students, it's sometimes just that student, if he or she makes any type of decisions regarding the team, it doesn't never turn out good. So I try to make sure I have an adult leader over every team. I have an outreach team. I have a WOW team, which is my sign-in on Wednesday night. I have security under that WOW team. I have cafe workers under that WOW team. I have a shock and awe team, which consists of my sound, lighting, media, social media, anything like that. It all fits up under my shock and awe. And then obviously I have a worship team. I'm having to be over my worship team right now. My student worship pastor stepped down here recently, Joy, I feel you pain, leadership moving on to other places. So I'm having to take over the leadership role in that team right now. So if y'all know any student worship pastors that I could have on Sand Mountain, let me know. And then the biggest thing is small groups. I have a small group team in place right now. I have currently 8 small groups going on.
Wow.
On any given Wednesday night. We do meetings with the whole leadership team that is adults. The adult leadership, we have meetings once a month, and we go from there. It's worked great for me so far. It's just a lot a lot of administrating, and the only advice I have when it comes to this model, if you're not careful, you get caught up in doing all the administrating, and your pastoral job falls short sometimes. So my wife takes on a lot of the administration roles of this model, and which has worked out great for me. She's a part of that fivefold ministry, and it's working pretty awesome for us.
Cool. Now, what I've heard that fivefold ministry before. What was it? Prophet, evangelist, preacher. Prophet, evangelist, preacher, teacher. Okay.
You have your team leader, which is your administration gift. You have your prophet, which is obviously prophecy gift. They are your prayer leader. Evangelist, which is your recruit. They do your recruiting for you. Pastor of the team, which has your encouragement gift. Your teacher, which is your training coordinator that has the teaching gift, and you can also opt to have a sixth fundraising coordinator, which has your gifts of helps and giving.
Cool. Okay. Let's see. Ori Hampton has joined the building. What's up, Ori? Ori is in Loxley Church of God, not Foley Church of God. Anyways, who else wants to pipe in about leadership structure? Anybody else? Jonathan Key, pipe in, my friend.
We are kind of at a creative place right now. I mean, I just came in 5 months ago to a position where there hadn't been any kind of structure in place for about a year and a half. So building that up, I've got 6 people that will directly report to me that kind of serve in leadership roles. And that's a worship and creative arts pastor, which I'm in the same boat as some of you guys. Just lost that about 3 weeks ago. And then we've got our creative arts is separate, our creative arts team, and then a security team, check-in team, and then our intern leader. So they will all, be with me directly. But to hit on like the students leading students on Wednesday nights, we operate what's called crews. And we've got 9 crews of about 12 students each, and that is completely student-led. 12 to 15 in each, I would say, probably. Completely student-led, and then they each have a sponsor parent that kind of is available, there. But it's worked for us, and I know that it doesn't work everywhere, but that's kind of where we're at right now.
Okay. What are the responsibilities for your crews? Do you have them at different places, or what do they do?
They do. They'll have meetings. I mean, if they want to throughout the week, they'll hang out together. The primary function is like as it grows to get smaller. And it's all competition driven. It kind of replaced that old tribe model. So I mean, if they bring people in, they get so many points. Like it encourages them for giving. When they give, they get so many points. We have creativity bonuses, all kind of different stuff like that. But they also lead all the prayer. They move announcements out of the way for me during service. So that's all handled in crew time.
That's pretty cool. Cool. Justin Sharp, tell me, what does your leadership structure look like?
Pass. I do it all. Is that good leadership?
Yes, that is great leadership.
No, honestly, we don't do anything special. We just found the giftings of our leaders. We have about 20 different ones, I guess. And, that consists of college and adults. And we just found their giftings and kind of put them in place to do it all. So I have guys over media that do, run our sound and all of that every week. I've got people that overhead and see do the small groups for us. We just recently got a coffee shop, so I've got, college kids that completely run that on their own. obviously worship and arts, they do all that on their own. So obviously, you guys know the better, the more people you have in place doing different jobs, the less we have to do personally.
Yeah.
Which I'm just being honest, I love not having to do much.
Yeah.
We're moving into the student-led thing this fall as well, where we'll just have it'll be more small group driven. Obviously, we'll do three nights a week as small groups, all student-led, and then we'll do one blowout service a month. As far as leadership structures and stuff, we don't really do much to. Y'all are going to judge me. We don't really do much to training or anything like that. We know who works best where, and that's where they're at. And luckily we were handed some good people. Yes, there's been individual training that I think works really well. If you can get in there individually and oversee what they're doing and look and see if they need help, pick it up. But other than that, we really don't do much training except we've had a couple, seminars and stuff, but that's about it. That's me being honest.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's good too. That's good. I think I'm going to pipe in and I'm going to ask a question to kind of redirect where we're going. But the way that I do the ministry leadership model, I've got, I don't have it with me right now, but I would say probably when I first came here, we probably had 19, 20 youth leaders, something like that. And by the time 6 months came around, I had like 12. And a lot of them were new faces. So when they come in, I like to give my leaders something to do. If it's something small, and we all have those people that just, some of them, it's hard to find something for them to do. So give them something to do, because what I've learned is if you don't give adults something to do, you're going to lose them on Wednesday night. You've got to give them a job or something. So I've got someone over my worship. I've got someone over my welcome table. I've got someone that does my welcome bags. I've got someone that does cafe. I've got one of my youth leaders that opens the gym for me, cleans it, closes it, and he's also over security, and it's actually kind of cool. We got him some T-shirts made that had our youth logo on the front of it, and the back of it said security on the back of it. So that was pretty cool. He really enjoyed that. He really liked that, so that was kind of cool. I'm trying to think of somebody else. I've got another lady that just comes and goes, and she intermingles. I've got about 2 or 3 ladies that help run the welcome desk. I've got another guy that leads my middle school ministry for me. We do a middle school ministry service on Sundays. It's usually from about 11:30, and this is beyond the point, 11:30 to 12, but we're looking to change it up and do it all during the service that we have during Sunday morning, same time frame, but over in the student building, but make it a full-blown youth service on Sunday mornings, band, all that stuff. And so that's where we're wanting to kind of go with that. But he also handles my greeters. He also handles the A team sometimes for me. He will also handle like the meet and greet or the beginning of the process for me. Because when I first kind of got acclimated here, I had some people tell me, my youth leaders tell me that I was doing a little too much. And so I was doing the games, I was doing welcome, I was doing all of that. So I've kind of split off from all of that, and all I do is just kind of preach basically now. And God has helped me with that in that aspect. But my question for y'all, and please chime in, don't sit there, but what is a good way to get other leaders involved? What is a good way to get college leaders involved? How can I? And yes, we can sit here and say pray about it, and God will help you. I understand that, and that's the most important thing. We got to pray about it first. But what are some techniques that some of y'all have found, or some ways to get other people drawn in? Because like me, I'm sure a lot of y'all have asked people to help you on Wednesday nights or whenever youth services are, and they're like kind of standoffish. I don't want to, or I just don't have time. That's a big thing. So what are some ways that you could tell me of how to get more adults or more college people involved?
I'll say this first. This process, it's a long process, but a lot of my students, we require them to at least go through 1 year of college and career ministry before they come back and serve. And that's just the policy we have in place here at Five. But with that being said, I would say probably close to 50% of those young adults, after they are committed for that year to college and career, show interest in coming back and serving in student ministry. And because, you know, they have connections and they're already familiar with the model that we have out there. And a lot of them, even though I have adult team leaders, the rest of that team is comprised of students. So, you know, that's my vision, is to get students connected in ministry and serving in ministry. And a lot of times that carries on over into college career, and then it even is rewarding because they wind up, not all, but most even wind up coming back and serving in student ministry in some shape, form, or capacity. So that's one way. It's just a little bit takes a lot of time, you know, to see that happen.
Right. That's good. That's good. I like that. What are some other things that y'all have done to get other people to come join your leadership team? Anybody?
One thing that we're really working hard on is, I'm sure that none of you ever have this issue in your churches, but it seems like the same people are in 4 or 5 different ministries. So one thing that we're going after is trying to find the people that maybe they've been here for about a month or two. What do they even like doing? And we tried to shift all of our ministry. I said this actually in our student ministry staff meeting. I said we're trying to create ministries for people instead of people for ministries.
Mm-hmm.
And the goal being is saying that wherever I put a person, I want it to benefit them as they're serving. So what we promote is saying, okay, what do you even like doing? What type of personality do you have? And whenever I go up to these people that are not involved anywhere yet, they love it that we're asking them, okay, what do you even like doing? And I'm finding myself even the other side of that sentence is this. I've been going to people here lately, and the ones that are involved in 3 or 4 different places, I say, okay, right now where you're at, I mean, are you happy? I mean, do you feel like you're doing something that you enjoy and something that's really the students are gonna reach max benefit? And what I do, if they can look at me and just say, hey, listen, I'm not happy with this, I give them full permission to step back until they find out what would make them happy. So I know that's a weird way of promoting positions and promoting getting college students and adults involved. But I've found out that if we start pursuing the people that's not already in 4 or 5 different spots, finding the people that, you know what, if you don't get in touch with them in the next month, they may even stop coming to your church because they're going to find a place where they can get plugged in. That's sort of the approach that we've started taking. We start treating our ministry teams more like a small. So that's one way that we've been using to promote involvement in our teams.
On that, do you have somebody like a connections pastor that reports to you that tells you who's kind of new in the mix and who's been there that would be eligible for that?
I would love it if we did. Now, as far as a church-wide thing, we have a lady that she's our administrative assistant, and she's the one that, as people come into the church, of course, we get their information cards, which that's a continuing battle. You maybe get a card off of maybe 1 out of 3 people. But the one thing that we always try to do is, if somebody comes and visits our church, me and her and maybe a couple of other people, we're actually scouting out the congregation right before service dismisses on Sunday. And we're looking to say, okay, do you know that person? If not, we're going to make it our goal to know that person before they leave. Because a lot of people, when they come to visit your church, I mean, they're gone as soon as the prayer's done. So we're like the people that's standing outside, out front, saying, okay, as soon as the doors open, we're not even going to wait for them to come out. We're going straight to them. And with that, as we develop relationships, we all sort of pool together our knowledge. Whoever else was willing to help us, whether it be a member of the safety team or whoever it was that called those people, we say, hey, this person's a nurse. This past Sunday, we actually had a girl in our second service have a seizure. Had to stop service for just a minute, and just through that, we found out that we knew we had a few nurses, but we've got a lot more nurses than we realized. So automatically we're thinking, okay, these people who responded to that, this is something that they're interested in. What can we do to plug them in?
Yeah.
So we don't always just rely simply on paper that we receive. On Sundays, that's the day we make it a goal. Let's get to know somebody, and then come staff meeting that week, let's all pull together our knowledge and see what we can do to get them involved in their ministry team.
I'm tired of unmuting myself and saying that's good, so I'm just going to hold up this sign every time I think something's good. Anybody else want to say something? What are some good ways for you to get more people to come to your leadership team? Corey Tennyson, pipe in, my friend, the newest member of Bay Minette Church of God, Crossroads, Alabama. Or, not Bay Minette Church of God.
Crossroads, yeah. Well, I'm kind of listening today because when I got here, they pretty much had a depleted youth ministry. And we've got maybe 2 youth leaders right now, and both of those are plugged into our boys and girls ministries. That was already in place when I got here, so we kind of just kept that going. And the girls ministry especially is probably our best ministry we've got right now. And but one thing we've done is we've got those connect cards, and when we get people who come multiple times, we plug them into a different file or a different system that we have through our secretary. And she texts them, and then she gives me the connect cards if they have anybody that's in youth or college age, and we go ahead and connect them. And we are right now in the process of transition for our music pastor. He was our college pastor as well. He left, and now we just hired Jesse Pate, and they'll be here this Thursday from Real Hope. But we've got different ways we get them involved. We have Tara, my wife, she works our welcome table every Sunday. So when she sees somebody who comes in, she gets to know them a lot quicker than I can too. Just because on Sundays I'm running sound, doing different things until we can get our music pastor here. So she gets connected to them, and then once she figures out kind of a little bit about them, what their interests are, she goes to that certain department and says, hey, this person has been, coming off and on. We need to make contact with them. And the department head will then go and, contact them and say, hey, let's go out to eat one day this week. We buy their food, just really pour into them, love on them, and just kind of feel out where their heart is. If their heart's really in that area, then we kind of, invest in them a little bit more and try to figure out, how much they want to actually get invested. Because we don't need just temporary, we need full-time and helping us for future. But that's pretty much how we do it right now, just because we're still new into it and growing. But so any other ideas would be great, because I'm getting a lot of information, but that's about it.
All right. Who else wants to say something? Joshua Smith. Go.
I'm kind of in the same boat as Corey. We only got here, I guess it's been about 4 or 5 months ago now. So a lot of our Flow Church is a different entity. A lot of churches I've been to, and I say that because a lot of the people we have are not people who've been to church all their life. I'd say 80% of them are new converts. Church is a new concept to them altogether, much less Pentecost. So A lot of those were, when we got there, we had kind of when you got there, there was probably 19, 20 youth leaders in place, and now we're probably down to 5 or 6. Just because when we laid out our vision, I think maybe some of them didn't line quite with what they wanted to do. But I mean, they didn't leave the church or anything; they just found some different areas to work in. So we're just kind of learning right now. I'm enjoying listening to you guys. I got a lot of stuff right down here, trying to just take in some stuff. But we're still in the learning process right now. The 4 or 5 leaders that we do have are fantastic. They're jumping on board with us. They're for the kids doing. We are growing in number, but mostly, which is what I want more than anything. And I think if they can do that, the numbers are a secondary product of that. So that's what I got.
Cool. Anybody else want to pipe in about leadership structure as we kind of transition to another area? Oh, man.
I'll say this: the Crossroads youth pastor. What's your name, man? What's
Corey Tennyson.
Corey. The inviting people over to your house, the people that's not connected in ministry. I know we've done that with a couple of people, families here lately, and that has worked dramatically for us too. So if I could just say, that's good stuff for anybody that I've heard say anything so far, that's one of the best things that we've found out too.
Yeah. Cool. It is so important, I believe, for us to have leaders. And that's why we need to have some sort of leadership structure. Now, the Oak Park leadership team might look different than Fife or Summiton or the River or Crossroads or wherever you are. It might look a lot different. But that doesn't mean that one is better than the other. That means we are all trying to reach different people, and we are all trying to, you got to play ethnic groups, you've got to put into play sports, you've got to put into language spoken, you've got to, everything comes into play, and you've got to worry about your people and what works for y'all. So I commend y'all because I'm writing down a lot of stuff here. I know for the Church of God, for the church body, not necessarily for the student ministry, but I believe that sometimes we need to model what our church has. If your church has it, I think that your youth and children should model it as well. Even though it's going to look a little bit different, I think that you need to model it. For example, like not necessarily like this, but what was it? Like the deacon board. I was talking about this today. For our church size, I think it's like 600 to 700 people. You need to have like 9 to 10 deacons, and we have 9 deacons, and I think something like that. So I think if you are at a church and you've got, I think we do 1 leader per 4 or 5 kids, something like that. I don't know. I just made that up. And we cover the whole basis. And when we first got here, we had all the college group in here helping us because they had church on Thursday night, but we changed the college group from Thursday night to Wednesday night, so that took all the college and career people away from us. And the ones that got married and stuff have moved on to different classes. But I think it's important for you to have leaders. Kind of like Justin Sharp said, I wrote it down. It says, the more people you have, the less you have to do. And sometimes the less that you do is the better off you'll do. And it's terrible for me because as soon as 6:30 hits, whenever kids really start to come in, I don't want to be preparing for a sermon. I don't want to be anywhere else. I don't want to be praying in a room. And I know that sounds bad. Y'all can get mad at me for it. That's fine. But I want to be hanging out with the kids as they come in. And sometimes it's terrible because something messes up and you've got to go fix it, or you got to go get batteries, or you get a phone call from another staff member that says you've got to come over here and help. So I understand that different things that varies for different people, but I try to make a pact that as soon as service starts, I like to focus on the kids and have leaders in place where they need to be at a certain time. So, anyways, next thing I want to talk about, if nobody has anything to say about leadership structure, get people on your side, get people that's going to be faithful for you. Have meetings with them. I'm not saying have a every month meeting, because during the summer it was crazy. I never met one time with my leadership team. It was terrible because it was so hectic and so crazy. But stay in contact with them, even if it's a 10-minute meeting after service, but keep them in the know. Keep them in the know. I try to do that best as I can. I fail at it a lot because I'm always a last-minute type of a person, and that's something I struggle with. But get people beside you that are going to help you. And make sure you ain't got no snakes around you. And that's all I'll say about that. Next thing I want to talk about, we got a few minutes, is events. Events. What do you guys do, like the same events every year for student ministry? How do you plan your events? Do you involve your leadership team on every event? What does that look like? Something that just came to my mind. My bad. I completely forgot to say this, but I have an adult leadership team that I have, and then I have a student leadership team I have. And this is what I did. Maybe this will help y'all. And I got this from a youth pastor in Virginia, who's now a pastor. He told me he had a leadership team that was made up of students, and what he did is he opened it up to all of the youth group. And now it sounds crazy, but if you open it up to all the youth group, you give them a chance to be a part of it. And if a kid comes to you and says, well, you pick your favorites, you say, no, you had a chance to join as well. And so that's a way for you to opt out, for you not to get in trouble, to get them involved. But when I did that, youth group was about 75, 80, and I've got 10 kids on my student leadership team, and I let them choose their name. They chose a team, and I have something for each of them to do in a specific area, but one of the main requirements is to come early to events, help me plan events, and stay late after events as well. Kids differentiate. They'll sometimes leave early, whatever, because they got stuff to do, whatever, and you can't get mad at them. But you hold them to a higher standard than any other kid. If I've got a kid on the A team that's messing around and they're laying out of church, I'm going to meet with them and I'm going to talk with them, because we as student pastors have got to learn to train other people, not other adults. Yes, that's important, that's fine, but we've got to train other kids to take our place. One sign of a good pastor or a good staff person, children's minister, student pastor, whatever it might be, is whenever you leave town for vacation or have a baby or you're sick and you have to miss on a Sunday or a Wednesday, good sign of a leader is your leadership team that you put in place knows what to do already, and they handle it, and it's like you never miss a beat. You never miss a beat. So that's why it's important to have people and have a student leadership team. The student leadership team for me was one of the greatest things that I've ever done. It really was. It's really helped me. In doing all that, I give them 2 terms to serve. We just finished 1 term. We just had elections. They elected kind of different people. I chose. There were some people that they wrote down that did not get placed because of various reasons. Because of me, I told them I'm the one that ultimately makes the decision who's on it. But I want you to tell me who you think. We got 3 or 4 more new kids on that team, and they've really helped me, and that gives them a responsibility. You're training them, you're raising them up, but it also gets them to invite other kids to your student ministry. So that's always a big thing as well. So anyways, I don't want to talk a lot. If y'all want to say something about leadership, that's fine, or we can move to events or do both. What are some cool events that y'all have done?
I'll start here with this. One of the events that we did, like I said, I've been there a little over a year at Sanctuary Prayer. I haven't really had the opportunity to speak. I can't really speak on reoccurring events there and how that's worked, but we are going to do something again this year that we did last year. We, and I don't know if you guys do this, but we did a judgment house. I have done those at other churches that I have been at. And when I came in, one of the first things I did when I came to Sanctuary Praise, and I came in July, and the Judgment House was in October, so you can do the math, and they had never done one before in their life, so it was kind of madness to put one together in such a short period of time. But we did that out of the youth department, but it was something that translated across the entire body of the church, because you can't put on something like that and just have your youth leaders, just have your youth. You've got to have assistants across the entirety of the church. One of the things we found about that event is we found that it really worked with me being brand new. One, established a lot of relationships with me and other members of the church and other departments of the church, but it also brought in a lot of we brought in some students, some adult leaders, started working with our youth as a result of that. And we brought in some new families who just wanted to participate, knew some people that were in the Judgment House, wanted to participate in it, and we brought them in. This was a huge event for us, and it may not seem like a lot, but in our rural area, we were able to bring in about, I think, close to 400 people in 2 nights that we did it. We had 400 people come through. We had like 12 or 13 people get saved, and it was a great event. And I'm bringing that back this week as well, because it just was so successful for us. It created a lot of momentum, and I've had a lot of people come up to me. I had a lot of people come up to me and ask me, wanting to participate in that. And that's my standard for whether or not an event would need to be reoccurring, is depending on the motivation behind the individuals to support it. Because you can have a great vision about something to do, but if you can't get anybody to support you behind it, or your kids or your church to support you, it's gonna flop. And that was one of those things for me that they came up to me begging, "Are we going to do this? I want to do this. We want to do this as a church," and so I'm bringing that back. That's kind of my personal standard for whether or not I do a reoccurring event. Youth services, you're going to have those every year. I don't do a specific title of a youth service that I do, and I don't necessarily, and I haven't been there, haven't done a trip yet, so again, can't really speak on some regards, but that one in particular event, like I said, the standard for am I going to bring it back was I want to do a trial run at it. We did it. It was successful, and the people wanted it. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that.
We did a F7 Expo. Sort of demoed that title off of Iron Man because I like Iron Man. And what we did was we just invited all the parents. It's a great way to get parent connections, and we showcased all of our teams that night. We did it on a youth service night, and we just gave each team and their team leader like a little slot in the service, and we had booths set up in the back of our student sanctuary, and we had the opportunity for new students that night who was not involved in a ministry team. At the end of the service, the team leaders was back there at their booths, and the new students had the opportunity to go back and connect with the team leaders and fill out a "Hey, I'm interested" card, and then we had a little fellowship after, and it was just a great way to get our team leaders and me as a pastor and parents and students just all in one building on one night, fellowshipping and connecting. So that was a big success for us. It's a lot of work, but it was a big success. Another thing is we just recently went to a small group model here at our church, so we don't do Sunday school anymore. And since we stopped doing Sunday school, we're struggling to connect with our core students because we have a bus ministry on Wednesday night, and there's so many students. It's hard to just, and you want to connect with the bus kids because that's their only night that they're coming to church. And so my five-hole ministry team and I got together, and we come up with an idea called these core hangouts. And so even though it's not every week, once a month on the third Saturday of every month, we do just a core hangout, core student hangout. And we do different things. Last month we went bowling. This month we're going to do a grill out, slip and slide at our house. And it's just a way to connect with our core students and keep that relationship strong with them, since we don't have that personal time with them on Sunday morning anymore. And but I will say, in regards to events, I'm a little strict when it comes to events. No offense, but I do not do lock-ins. I'm scared half to death of lock-ins. But anyway, they're just a nightmare for me. But I will say this: if an event does not fit into the vision that God has given you, then why do it? Because we're not our students' social event planners. We're their youth pastors.
Right.
And so just, yeah, amen. So just, look at every event, and there's some things that we've had to scrap since we've been here that we tried was just total failures. And then there's some things that we've done where we were like, yeah, that works amazing. So don't be afraid to fail when it comes to events. And like Joey said earlier, that's my 2 cents on that. So.
Wow. I love that, man. Don't be afraid to fail. I love that. Sorry, I'm writing stuff down. If anybody wants to pipe in while I'm writing, you can. We just got done doing an encounter weekend. What does that mean? In the Baptist church, they do things called discipleship now. I hate the term discipleship now. It's so 1985. And so I redid the name, and we called it Encounter. Last year, of course, we had had a back school bash. My brother-in-law, Josh Smith, preached for us, did a great job. We're going to do it again, but we decided to do an encounter weekend right before school. And I am still getting word about what God has done, and that has been a phenomenal thing. What it is, we started on a Friday night and had service Friday night. They checked in, went to their host homes Friday night. They did small groups Friday night, 2 sessions Saturday morning, ate lunch, and then we had a game day this year. We came to the church, had some fun games to play. They lasted. I blocked out 3 hours. It only took 1 hour for all the games, which is kind of crazy. So next year, I'm actually having a meeting with all my host home leaders and everybody that was involved with the Encounter Weekend tonight about different things we can do differently. And one thing I'm going to do differently is I'm going to ex-nay the game day and do a service project that Saturday. So that will be one thing that we do differently. They go back to their host homes, get ready, have another church service Saturday night, get back Sunday morning, wake up Sunday morning at their host homes. They stay in host homes, do another small group. So they do 5 small group sessions throughout the month, throughout the weekend. Come to church, get involved in church, Sunday school, go to church, and after praise and worship is over, we go to the student center, and we had an anointing commissioning service to send all the kids out. We anointed their right ear, their right thumb, and their right big toe, and each had their biblical significance, which was really cool. And if anybody needs any information about that, shoot me a message. I would love to help you with that. It's awesome.
One question about that, because I love that idea. Love that idea. How did you pick your student, what host home your students went to? Do you let them choose, or did you assign them? How did you do that?
You assign them. what I did was, at first, I put a person over me that knew the kids. I say knew the kids more, but might know them longer than I have, I guess you could say. So I placed each kid with all of their friends. That's what I did at first. And we had 7, 8 host homes. It's kind of crazy. In the week before the first service, that week, we had 3 host homes drop out. 2 because of sickness, and one of them, their brother was dying, which they couldn't help that. None of them could help it. So we had to it backfired, and we had to find different people, which it ended up working for us. But what we did is we ex-nated all, and we placed them at least with one friend of theirs. And then we put them with 2 to 3 newer people that they didn't know and they didn't hang out with, because if you put them in cliques, they're not going to really receive what God has for them in the weekend. I know that's kind of crazy to say, but place them with somebody they know, at least 1 or 2 people, but place them with 2 or 3 different new people as well. And so I made that choice. You get a lot of flack saying, I don't want to go there, I don't want to be with them. And if a mom or a dad comes up to you and says, hey, this is what's going on, unless it's a life-threatening thing, you just kind of push it aside and say they will be fine. They will be fine. So you yourselves have to choose that. You don't let the kids choose that, because they will be with all their friends. And as a youth group, we've got to train our people to go over to this is I'm going to point it out to you. My youth room is like this, a big long room. On the right side, I've got the sporties, the athletics, and some hunters and preppy kids. In the middle, I've got some of the older, leader, high schooler ones, and then have adult leaders in the middle. And then on the left, you've got the bus kids. You've got, I hate to say this, you've got some troublemakers that sit over there, and then you got first-time visitors. So my point is I want to kind of intermingle them. And so that really helped us for the encounter weekend. And it ended up being phenomenal, a great weekend.
Hey, I got 2 questions on that real quick. A, how many kids were at each host home? And B, did you use like already people that were leaders for your host homes, or did you have to go through the whole background check to approve them to be host homes?
Good question. Host homes, we did one host for guys. I only had 2 guy host homes because of the situations and people getting sick. I had 8 boys in each host home. That's a little too much. If I could down that to about 4 or 5, I could. But other host homes had about 4 or 5 to 6. Leave me alone. My music minister is bothering me. Excuse me. We've already had staff meeting. 4 to 5 people per host home is what I did. The other question was, yes, I incorporated youth leaders that I have, but I also went after other people. I went after people that have good records at our church, have had background checks, and I've gone after the ones that I trusted. People, like I had one, Susan and Gene Hayes, they're like, good Lord, if I gave you their age, and if I was off, Susan Hayes would probably kill me if I told you. But, I mean, they're older people. They're not 70, they're not 80, they're like 60, something like that. But they were phenomenal with our kids. Had 4 to 5 in each host home. But you go and you hand-pick them. One thing I did was put a sign-up sheet out in the foyer. I will not do that again. I will go to them each individually and say, hey, if you want to help, that's fine. And if somebody comes to you and say, hey, we want to help, or we want to be a host home leader, and you don't trust them, incorporate them somehow, but don't, if they're not really trustworthy. But we've got a good group of we got great church people, so that it's not hard for me to find a bad. It is hard for me to find somebody that's bad that I wouldn't trust with my kids. So we've got a great group of people. Incorporate them somehow with cooking or put them over something. Let's see. I think I answered all your questions. Anybody else want to chime in about an event that worked for you? What are some things that y'all do? Winterfest. Anybody going to Winterfest this year? Just raise your hand. No. Anybody going to Forward? Anybody just don't care about Jesus anymore? Because those are the only 2 events that, I'm just kidding. Josh, how was your back to school bash? How did that work for you? A lot of churches are doing that.
It went good. The only thing was I was a little disappointed in the turnout of parents. It's kind of hard to. Y'all may have some suggestions on this, and y'all said some good stuff, but I don't know. It's just and maybe what we need to do is try to get more of them involved. But we had probably we probably had 40, 50 kids show up and maybe 2 or 3 parents, and that's kind of an issue because to me I feel like the kids kind of think, okay, they're not backing us here, and I would just like to see more of them show up. But other than that, it went good. We had David Tennyson come. You can't go wrong with David Tennyson come. We had a fire line. Kids were on out on the floor. I mean, just being baptized in the Holy Ghost. Some of them who had never stepped foot in church. So it was incredible spiritually, but I was just a little disappointed in the parts of parents coming. Another thing is one of the things we did at a church that we were at before, and we're going to try this fall. It's called a Worship Under the Stars. And we're actually going to do, somebody in our church has about 12 acres of land. So we're going to do a large bonfire outside, and then we're going to set up an acoustic worship band. We're going to have about 30 to 45 minutes just of worship out there, a small devotion, and we're actually going to have a big screen set up and actually show some kind of movie out there for them. So that's something we're planning to do. We went to Ford this last time. I don't know. I'm just going to give my personal opinion. I just wasn't very floored with Ford. Just a lot of entertainment, but I just feel like the spiritual depth was lacking. So I don't think we're going to do Ford next year. We are looking at Warrior Fest with Kevin Wallace next year. That's only about probably 2 to 3 hours from our church. It's free, and all you have to pay for is motel. So that's what we're looking at doing in March within the next year.
Cool.
I'll jump in just real quick. Like one of the things that's worked for us as an event, and they're kind of mini events that we do, but once a quarter we do a themed night, and it operates kind of as an event, and it's a way for them to get goofy and silly and all that, but they still have a lot of fun with it. So our last one was a rap night. So I mean, they had to go to Goodwill and get as hood rat as possible, and they had a blast with it. They took tons of pictures. Our social media experience nearly tripled on that night alone. Our presence on social media.
Wow.
Because they were all over it. We did a Snapchat filter for it. We had a special local clothing line come in that had a booth set up. All of this stuff that costs us absolutely nothing. And we do that once a quarter with a different theme. So
cool.
It's something that keeps things fresh for them. They look forward to it. They promote heavily for it. They invite heavily for it. And it's worked really well for us. We've done it at past churches. This was, I think, mine and my wife's 3rd or 4th one to do, and it's worked out really well.
Awesome. That's really cool. What did that night look like as far as was it just a service, or did you have stuff before, after, or what?
It was kind of a blend. We had, like I said, the local clothing line. It was Reign of Righteousness, and they were set up beforehand. And then we had a normal worship experience. And then there's different leaders and students that had prepared goofy raps, and they came up and did that. It was also paired. We do every 6 weeks. What's called a 412 service, where we raise up one of our students and give them the opportunity to preach the whole 1 Timothy 4:12 thing.
Cool.
So that night we actually had a student preacher as well. But I mean, operates as a full service, but they're all dressed up, and they're it may be someone different leading worship that we bring in to kind of fit to that night. We've done a 80s themed one before and focused in Psalm 80s, and done it with that for the service. So it operates fairly normal, just with additions.
Awesome. That's cool. Anybody else want to say something about events before we close? I know it's 2 o'clock. We usually do about an hour 15 minutes. Anybody want to say something about what they do for events, what worked for them, what didn't? I will tell you that Corey Tennyson and I, who's at Crossroads Church of God, are actually we started a thing when we were in Tuscaloosa about what did we call it? I've been gone there for such a long time. Josh, what was it called? That you preached at, and then I did too.
It started with an E, I'm pretty sure, but I can't. The word won't come to my mind. Was it Ignite or something like that?
That was the name of his youth ministry.
Oh yeah, that wasn't it.
But that also starts with an I.
Yeah. I forgot what it was. Anyways, there's like a big back school bash that he had, but we did it quarterly, and it ended up being really cool. So Corey,
That's
since
great.
he's close, we're actually going to start doing quarterly worship experiences involve different churches too. So River, I know y'all are close to us. We'd like to have y'all too. It'd be really cool.
Yeah, that would be good for us. And actually, I was telling Erica the other day, I want to get in touch with Justin. Is it Justin Bates of the Healing Place?
Yep.
Is that his name?
Yep.
I want to get in touch with Justin and maybe because they're 30, 40 minutes from us, so there's no reason that we shouldn't be connecting with those guys. And then also there's the 180 Church over in Springville that's very close to us there. So I really want to try to get. Actually, I've been trying to set up a meet with that youth pastor for a while now. We just haven't been able to get together, but that's a good idea. That's maybe something we look into.
Yeah, be cool.
Josh, we're pretty close to y'all too. We're about 6 miles from Trustful, so love to
Okay.
connect with you guys too.
Joey, give me the name of your church again. I'm sorry, man. I'm bad with
Bradford
memory.
Sanctuary of Praise.
Sanctuary of Praise. Okay. Sounds good.
Anybody?
So,
Go ahead.
One quick event that I forgot that we do every year that works really good is we call it a rote ceremony. And it's an acronym that stands for Rite of Passage event. And we do it with our 6th graders that's moving up into 7th grade. And we just sort of give them the red carpet treatment on Wednesday night. And we actually have a mountain climber guy here at the church, and he lets us borrow one of his climbing ropes, and we actually take our existing students and have them in the student center and the 7th graders that's moving up in the gym, and we stretch the rope from our student center to the gym, and we actually pull the new students in and all. And I don't know why those
cool.
kids love that so much, but they do. They just, man, and we cheer them on when they're coming in. And we have leather couches, or, they're not real leather, but imitation leather couches set out. And so the whole service that night, they're sitting front and center in the couches. And we have pizza that night for them. And we do a orientation night, that in that same setting. So, and we call it our rote ceremony, rite of passage event, and it works really, really great for us.
Wow. I love that, man. That's awesome. That's really cool. All right, I'm going to conclude. I'll post within the next week or so about another meeting time on the Isla page. But I enjoyed meeting with y'all. I know some of y'all got to go, but I enjoyed it. See y'all.